Good day to one and all. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindices.com. Hope you're able to hear me. Let me display the PowerPoint presentation. Good day, Santa. Thanks for confirming. Audibility is fine. Asian session live market analysis on September 12th between 5 and 5:30 GMT. We will track the market using the live market code page. I displayed the link. And I'll also focus the camera over that of the live market code page. Now currently Euro is trading around 1.3529, 1.3531, 1.3495 is the low. They just gone below that of the psychological level 1.35 and 1.3621 is a high. 126 pips. Already it has come down from the Friday close. And when Euro was around 143, 144, 145, it was appearing very, very bullish. And all were willing to do the buy and sell trade. Now after the drop below that of 1.38, then all are willing to do the sell and buy trade and developing a bearish feel. And this is how the market sentiments are being changed from time to time. And you know that when it was around 1.45 and also when US non-farm payroll was zero, people thought that Euro has to go up, whereas they dropped it. Now they are talking about the crisis in Europe, and because of that they are making the drop. If you think this is the genuine fact, so many occasions we have seen they are being hyped about this, the crisis in Europe, and subsequently they have just gained the levels in Euro as well as GBP. So it is a question of just how to use the sentiment from time to time, how to intensify the sentiments from time to time by making the market move. So when they show a new level after making a gap opening and drop it further and below that of the psychological level 1.35, and the traders become jittery, and those who are holding higher level long positions come readily to liquidate the long positions without understand how much can drop. And do I have the equity to hold it, or do I have the hedging facility to hold it? And if they review it that nature, then they will not become panic. And those who have taken too many positions, invariably they become afraid, because when they take about 5 to 10 positions, and when all the positions are making loss, even about 20 pips drop, if there are 5 positions, then you will come across 20 into 5 lots. So about 100 pips loss will be shown in the usable margin. So if it will be around $1,000. So when they make such drops, then immediately the panic creeps in and they go in for a distressed trade. So from time to time, the players make this sort of moves and try to trap the traders. We need to understand, if you think that it is because of the economic conditions, fine. In which way US economy is better when compared to that of the European economy? Okay, people talk about European crisis. Why GBP has come down so much? It's a sentiment? Okay, fine. So when Euro is able to create the sentiment and drop it, why not it create the sentiments against USD also? Why it is not happening that way? And you know that in the case of CHF, everybody was talking when there is a crisis that USD CHF is the safe haven, or the CHF is the safe haven, and also gold is the safe haven. Why they are dropping them? So which is going to be the safe haven? US dollar? Once it was considered as a waste paper, now it is considered as a safe haven. So how they are creating alternatively the sentiments, and people are willing to believe it. And so they make it so convincing that people tend to believe it. And afterwards forget about it. When they talk about some other thing, okay, because of this Euro has gone up, okay, now it could go up, and this sort of talk they make it. So last month I was telling you that Euro and GBP are expected to make a drop in the month of September, and they have done it. And don't think that they will just bring it down to zero, or don't become too much of bearish feel. And they have done it already, because to gain the levels it takes longer time. To drop the levels they do it in a few days. They have achieved it, and now they are holding it at lower level, and they are buying it when all others are selling it in a hurry. During that of the Japanese session itself, they had done about 132 pips in the case of Euro. So this is how they create the market sentiment and act against that of the traders later on. Keep that in mind and don't develop unnecessarily the bearish feel. That is what I perceive the market. It is up to you to take a decision on that. Then with regard to GBP, you come across 1.5821, 1.5825, 1.5823 is the low, 1.5861 is the high. 59 pips negative net change is seen. When Euro has dropped about 135, GBP has dropped about 59. So as a result, you come across Euro GBP has come to 0.85. When Euro GBP was around 0.88, I was telling that they are making an upward stop, and to bring it down, they had dropped it. And they are expected to make further drop in the case of Euro GBP, and by making the gains, more gains in the case of GBP and less gain in the case of Euro, and that is how they are expected to make the moves and drop down probably to 0.82 level. So already it has done about 53 pips. So when it was around 88, everybody was telling that it can go easily to 90, 92. So when you derive in a linear fashion, and it will appear that drop can be endless, but in an infinite time frame, but that they don't consider. But simply when they draw the line on the down slope, then the channel is pointing downward, probably it can go to zero also, but that is not practically going to happen. So that is how the fear grips in, uncertainty grips in. But we need to understand how the players are making the moves in the market. Then we can easily understand that they are not going to drop it endlessly or rise it endlessly. Then in the case of yen, 77.16 and 77.20 are the current levels. 77.12 is the low, 77.57 is the high. You find the spread is increasing in the case of USD yen, and they are done about 42 pips negative net change. When Euro, GBP and USD yen are showing negative net change, then we know that it is a typical contrarian move. They are dropping for the week beginning. The yen crosses. So Euro yen has come to 104 and the GBP yen has come to 122. And this is how they drop and buy it. And whenever they make the contrarian move, we are not going to come across any big USD gaining move as such, because yen is gaining against USD. And they may attribute so many things, but this is how they make a downward stop. And already they have done the drop in the case of yen. About 168 pips in the case of Euro yen, 114 pips in the case of GBP yen, Australian dollar yen also 138 pips. So you can understand how they have done it during the Asian session itself. So when the volume is very thin, when they drop it quickly by circular trade and hold it at a lower level, when Europe opens, immediately people think that market is going to be bearish. And when they start gaining small levels, they start selling it, thinking that it will drop further down. And, in a bearish market, easily the short sellers are trapped. In a bullish market, easily the long holders are trapped. So that you have to understand, because the market has become bearish, if you try to do simply sell and buy trade at every level, you'll be vulnerably trapped. Similarly, when the market is bullish, at any level you try to buy it, you may think that you will make profit, but they will show the loss. So we have to keep in mind our fundamental concept that if you want to buy, we will buy near the low. If you want to sell, we will sell near the high. And especially during the season low, we will not do sell and buy trade. Near that of the season high, we will not do buy and sell trade. And that sort of understanding, if you have it, then you will not be trapped vulnerably. Because it is very easy to lose the money from that other market, in the market. But it is very difficult to earn the money. But all the earning and the losing happen because of our market perception. And we are causal factor for that. It's not the market. So we get moved with that of the bullish feel and the bearish feel and commit more positions, and because of over trading lose the money. And that is, an ordinary trader is tend to do that. But a professional trader has to perceive the market in a right perception. Okay, the economy is bad, doesn't matter. Let me keep away from the market, watch how far they are dropping it, and afterwards they can't drop further down. Then probably later on I'll enter into the market, or let them go above that of the support, resistance, and stay above the resistance. Then I'll enter into the market again, buy. So that sort of understanding will be there. But only an emotional trader, after losing money on one side, turn short at the lower level after the drop. When the visible drop has happened, if you sell, they are not going to give the profit so easily. When the visible rise has happened in the market, afterwards you try to buy, and you will be the last person to buy at the highest level. So that you have to always keep it in mind, and don't be involved or emotionally being triggered because of various attributes. Then in the case of USD CHF, we have seen the multi-year trend reversals, and now it has come to that level of 0.89. 0.8912, 0.8915 at the current level, 0.8857 is the low, 0.8927 is the high, 73 pips positive net change they have done it. When Euro has dropped about 133 pips, CHF has gained only about 74 pips. You can understand slowly they are accumulating it and they are making the one-sided gain. So any level you try to sell it, they may drop about 10 to 15 pips. They may drop about 50 pips on certain occasions, but they are not going to just give profit to that of the short sellers. And that is how they just gain the levels one-sided. In the case of denominator currency, it's very risky to do the sell and buy trade here. And if you sell and wait, the loss will go up like anything, because they are doing the multi-year reversal and they wanted to bring it to that of the parity and above as quickly as possible in this month. So this is what I was telling you last month, and now they are doing it. You are able to understand. So that is how we have to understand what they intend to do in a long term as well as a short term, and try to plan our trades accordingly, rather than just giving importance to that of the small pullbacks and small swings in the market, and for every 50 pips rise bullish and every 50 pips drop bearish. If you try to develop that sort of sentiment, then we will not be able to understand the market at all. So such a great opportunity they are given in the case of USD CHF, but I don't know how many people are benefited of that. In the case of Canadian dollar, they have come up to that of 0.9997. They are showing the parity here, and 9994, 9998 are the current levels. 9970 is the low, 9997 is the high, and they are showing 29 pips positive net change. So when CHF has gained about 68 pips, you find USD CAD is showing 29 pips positive net change. They are expected to hover around and slowly gain the levels, probably go up to 1.0085 and make a drop and things like that. But slowly they are expected to hold above that of the parity and start gaining in the case of Canadian dollar. They may rise it up to 1.03. In the case of Australian dollar, it was holding around 1.06 and 1.07, and everybody was telling it's bullish and it could revisit 1.10. See, they are shown now 1.0346, 1.0392 or 50, and 1.0339 is the low, 1.0449 is the high, and 121 pips already they had dropped it. But when Euro and GBP are rising, you may not come across a rise in the case of Australian dollar. Keep it in mind. It is also undergoing the reversal from that of the multi-year levels, 1.10. So after the multi-year levels, they are not going to give the profit to that of the long holders frequently. They initially make it that way and start making one-sided drop, and similar to that of the one-sided rise, what you come across in the case of USD CHF. So avoid doing buy and sell trade in the case of Australian dollar. Any rise you can just try to sell near that of the high set for the day or whenever there is an upward stop. And if you are booked profit, wait for the next pullback and try to take a sell. Don't become emotional, try to sell near that of the low. No, that is a bad trade practice. Because already they have done it 122 pips, and during the day they may make a small pullback and then just make a dip, but may not recover similar to that of Euro and GBP, which are being envisaged from that of the European session. Now, in the case of Euro CHF, you find that the pegged level 1.20, they are maintaining it, and 1.2050, 1.2053 are the current levels, and 20 south, the high 16 pips negative net change is seen, and they are expected to gain the levels. How they can gain the levels in the case of Euro CHF? By gaining more level in the case of Euro and gaining more level in the case of CHF, they will be able to rise Euro CHF. Don't think that it is struck at 1.20 because the market never stays in a particular level for a longer duration. And if that is the situation, it will be eliminated from trading. Now, let me display the PowerPoint presentation. Now, the expected market moves for today. Japanese session swing and slide moves. And European session, they are expected to make a small dip or a slide initially and then firm up towards close. And afterwards, during the US session, they are expected to make a dip and then firm up. And tomorrow onwards, you'll come across slow gaining, intentional move of slow gaining will be seen in the market. And they are not going to just like that allow the market to make a free fall. And whatever they sell positions, they had taken it last month. And also in the early part of this particular month, they are trying to book profit. And they will slowly make buy positions. And those who have taken the sell positions, along with that of the players, if they are not covering it, they could quickly make a pullback and induce them to put the buy positions and afterwards sell it to them and make a narrow range moves near that of the low. So Euro has formed about 1.35 as the bottom. So it could range around 1.35 to 1.38 level for about a few days, and then subsequently it is expected to gain the levels during the course of this week and next week as well. The last week, it may revisit 1.35 or around that 1.36 or 37. And next month, you could come across Euro going above 1.47. And also GBP above 1.67. But when I give a long-term call, don't immediately take a position and say that, okay, I'm waiting till 1.67 or 1.47 without taking any precaution, without keeping stop at entry and things like that. If you are really interested in position trade, you can do this sort of trade and after keeping stop at entry. When you keep stop at entry and when the position is closed, don't feel bad. Then if they go lower level, you try to take another buy position and try to keep stop at entry once the position makes profit. And you may feel that 2 or 3 times they may hit it, but the last one will make a really big profit. And you know that last time one of the persons said in a webinar that he has taken a buy position in the case of USD CHF around 0.973 level. And you can understand that sort of trade, if you try to do it, the position trade will give immense profit. But it's a single trade, so the risk is very, very less and the reward is phenomenal. Try to focus on that sort of trade when the market is making the multi-year moves. The multi-year moves are seen in the case of the denominator currencies, as I explained, USD CHF, USD Yen, and also that of Australian dollar. There you can do phenomenal multi-year trend reversal trades. And Euro and GBP, you can just do the position trade of buying now when everybody is bearish, and people may call it as a bankruptcy and things like that. After a few days, you just make a record of what that news comes today and read it after 3 days and ask the people who have just published that, highlighted it, what happened to your concept, why you have changed your perception. Then you will be able to understand. why they are doing it. So with regard to the initial lows and the high, 0 formed the low 1.3557 and the high was low was 1.3557 and the high was 1.3621. The high was not breached and the low was breached by about 50 pips and 1.3495 has become the low, and now above that of the psychological level 1.3523 they have come. Probably they may just make a brief downward stop and below that of the new low 1.3495 and then start gaining the levels. In the case of GBP, 1.5826 was the initial low. They breached only by 5 pips and they are holding around that of 1.5821, 1.5825 currently and just below that. So they are not expected to make. Probably they may just try a brief downward stop and below that of 1.58, like what they have done it in the case of Euro. If there are cluster of stops and then start gaining the levels, don't expect too much of a drop. Then high was 1.5861. That is not breached. And in the case of CHF, 8857 is the low and that is intact, and 8894 was the high. They have gone to 8927, slightly above that, about 25 pips to 30 pips. And probably they could just dip it up to 88.95 or 90 and things like that and start gaining the level again. Then in the case of USDN, any dip is a buy opportunity in the case of CHF. Then USDN 77.25 is the low and they breached the low and formed 77.93. You can understand they are acting on yen and yen crosses purposely. When Euro and GBP has dropped, purposely they are dropping yen, USD yen. So USD yen is making USD weakening move. You know, when all others are showing USD gaining moves, how cunning they are, and they are dropping it with some other attribute. And then after making a downward stop or an extended downward stop in the case of Euro yen and GBP, and many people are asking, now when exactly the downward move is expected in the case of USD yen? Probably this week they wanted to do it. And so they could quickly drop it to below that of 77.93 and then go up during the day, and 77.57 is the high. They are not breached it. So today you can expect a quick downward stop in the case of yen and yen crosses. So after the drop about 200-300 pips, quickly enter long position in the case of Euro yen and GBP yen and wait for, keep the hedging order to limit the risk 50 pips. In case if it is hedged, keep stop at entry in the hedging. And if the hedging is making profit, if the hedging is making loss, close it with a nominal loss and keep another hedging order to limit the risk until such time you are able to keep stop at entry or buy position. You will be able to really see a phenomenal profit in the case of yen and yen crosses. So they could aggressively gain the levels, because in the case of Canadian dollar, they come to that of the parity. They are expected to hover around that of the parity for a few days without giving a much of a USD gaining sentiment or a USD weakening sentiment, and slowly drop Australian dollar. Now the time for them to focus USD yen. And already CHF, they gained it. Probably after gaining the level above that of 0.90, they will hover around 90 to 93 area for some time and then start gaining the level above parity later on. When Euro and GBP are gaining the levels in the case of, in the month of October, you will find USD CHF continue to gain the levels. Yen also continue to gain the levels. Australian dollar continue to lose the levels. So you'll come across a total disconnect between Euro and the Australian dollar. When Euro is gaining, Australian dollar would be dropping at that time. That is how they change the market correlations from time to time. Let me minimize the PowerPoint presentation and take up the questions which are asked here. I'll focus the camera over that of the live market quote page for us to track the market during our discussion. Purnima has got a question. We earlier provided a range of GBP Euro for month of September, which has been broken. So what? So they are all only calculated levels, and I cannot control the players to do around. They are all estimate depending upon the type of moves they have done it. They have breached it, but doesn't mean that they are expected to breach downward. Okay, so sometimes you find that when the drop happens, a lot of long holders continue to sell, or if they are not willing to exit out around 1.38 or 1.37, suppose somebody is holding around 1.45 or 1.43 level buy, he is not willing to liquidate that buy. So what they do the circular trade and drop it quickly, so that automatically when the loss mounts and increase, and such long holders without stock, they come and readily liquidate it at a lower level. They know very well the human psychology, and for that they do it. So I don't have any control. I can only estimate it. So it is similar to that of any statistician or any technical analyst trying to calculate the support and the resistance. And I call it as a support, for example. Then if the support is breached, what do? Then I can only estimate what could be the next support. Yeah, this is a breaching of that particular low, 1.38, the estimated level, and they could do the swing from 1.35 to 1.38 in a few days and then go up. In the case of GBP, I made the estimate of 1.59, and you know that element of error on the upside and the downside, so it is now on the downside. So here about 300 pips in the case of Euro, about 100 pips in the case of GBP from that of the estimated level. But I don't think they are expected to make for the deep drop. But this particular range, 1.35 to 38, will be held only for a brief time frame. You can see that. Then JAG. How high USD CAD can go coming weeks? It has already come to the parity level. Now, they are hesitant to show. Yeah, they are showing it in the ask, but nobody has taken it. And so they are expected to hover around this. So from 0.99 to 1.01, they are trying to oscillate. So without giving a full bullish feel or a bearish feel in the market alternatively. Because once it goes to the resistance level, and a lot of people will try to sell USD CAD, then they will drop and give them the profit and go up to that of the resistance and come down. Then a lot of people will sell after that. Then third time, they go above that of the resistance and don't show the level back at all. So this is the way they have to trap it. Jen Smith. You said that Euro will drop in September, but you also said that last week it will range. That's what I said. Yeah, that was the range estimated because they wanted to focus more on that of the denominator currencies in bringing it. So when more fund is being deployed in rise USD CHF, USD Yen, and also dropping Australian dollar, so they are expected to make the range bound moves with regard to the currencies which have already undergone the multi-year reversals. But that is the estimate. So I will not be able to say that, come on players, stop up to 1.38, afterwards you should not drop. I don't have that power. I hope you understand. I can only estimate, and they can breach that estimate. So it is a simple human acceptance. They are all nothing but the calculations, and it can go wrong. I already explained that 1.35 to 1.38, briefly they may trade and go above. It has already fallen more than 400 from 1.39. Yeah, I am extremely sorry about it. Probably you stop listening to my estimate. That is the best way to do it. No, because if you try to question this way, you don't learn anything. Not that I'm trying to point out that you are accusing me or something like that. I'm not worried at all. So you can always ask questions. But if you try to point out your fingers on the others, you fail to realize what are the mistakes you are trying to do. I do not want you to become emotional that way and try to just get mental satisfaction by pointing your fingers on others rather than trying to improve on your own analysis. No, I explained in my trading system the entire process by which I am doing the analysis, etc. And I give the input. Use those inputs and try to estimate by yourself. Then you can say that, no, according to my estimate, it can go up to 1.38, whereas, or 1.35, whereas you have said that it may stop around 1.38. That sort of arguments I really appreciate. See, if I say 1.38 area could be the low, and if you say that it can come to, it has come to 1.35, it's already 400 pips away from that. I'm extremely sorry. Beyond that, I cannot do anything. Then Soma, your view on USD INR? INR is expected to weaken. As I explained, probably it may briefly touch 48 and then go back. And Smith, the dynamics of the drop regarding euro indicates that the next target could be 1.34, 1.30. Yeah, possible. If we see a big reversal today, then we can focus more on 1.38. Smith, that is a good analysis, and you are trying to estimate on either side the potencies. Let us see which side potency is being achieved by the market, because we don't have the power to push the market either on the downside or on the upside. We may call it as a collective response of the traders based on the sentiments, but ultimately market has to move during the day. So let us understand which way they are trying to move it. So I can say that it can go up to 1.34 or 1.30. Then I will keep away from 1.35. Because it has got also a potency to 1.38 and 1.40. What do I do? The best thing is buy around 1.35 and keep a hedging order. And if the hedging is filled, then keep stop at entry. Let them go down as much as possible. I try to wait. And if it becomes a strong support, then I'll try to close the hedging there. And when they rise, and take another buy position. And when they rise, I close buy positions above the average. So it is always possible to estimate either way moves. But which way it is going to move is the most important thing for us. Hope you are able to understand Smith at a given time frame. Okay. So we have seen the Greece bankrupt and crisis, so many stories, sir. And subsequently we have seen that somebody is coming for support and things like that. Then Shams, Euro-USD peg is 1.20. When Euro was introduced, Euro was introduced at 1.47, sir. Euro CHF is around 1.20. So in reality, is that what they mean parity? I think parity is nothing but the ratio. The ratio is 1. That is called parity. Nothing to do with regard to the pegged and things like that. I have focused the camera on the live market code page now. Then IBRA. I bought USD CAD at 98.60, still holding. That is good. Yeah, so when they drop Euro Yen and USD Yen, will Euro USD also drop with it? They already dropped. See, I think you are not able to understand the contrarian move. You have to see the net change. 125 pips they had dropped in the case of Euro, and about 50 pips in the case of USD Yen. It's contrarian move. So as a result, you come across about 175 pips. So around that, you come across the drop in the case of Euro Yen. So 163 pips drop is seen in the case of Euro Yen. So that is how you find the double edge effect. And when they do like that, and they try to push it little more, either by dropping Euro or dropping USD Yen. So now they just made the downward move and still holding below that of the initial low in the case of USD Yen. Whereas in the case of Euro, they are just holding above that of the psychological level 1.35. So now this section will get over by 7 GMT. Afterwards, the European session, they have to create some more knee-jerk reaction for the people to liquidate the long position in case of they hold it. As soon as they wake up in the morning, And if they find that euro is showing new low, immediately they liquidate the long positions. So that is what they will try to do it, afterwards start gaining the level. So when all the long holders liquidate, where is the question for the market to stay around here? They have to go up. That is what you will see, because market dynamics is always it will start making moves upward and then downward. Then Bazaar. What will be the good buy level in the case of euro yen? So when they stop cutting the low in the case of euro, when they stop cutting the low in the case of USD yen, when they stop cutting the low in the case of euro yen for 30 minutes during the mid-session, take buy. And that will be a safe buy level. Then Matthew. Still use the hedging order to limit the risk. 50 pips in the case of crosses. Matthew. Will there be any weak beginning false move? This is what you come across as a weak beginning false move now on the downside. How much of a pullback can be expected in the case of Australian dollar? Australian dollar pullback in this week onwards could be lesser. About 50 to 60 pips probably. They may go up to 1.30, 1.0378 and things like that will start making that drop. Less pullback and more drop are expected in the case of Aussie, because it is coming out of the multi-year moves like USD CHF. If you understand the pattern of moves they are doing it in CHF, you'll be able to understand how they could do it in the case of Australian, just upside down of the chart. Then what is the expected trading zone in the case of Australian dollar? I already explained that it is expected to come below that of the parity very soon. Yans, how much pullback can USD yen go before we can take a buy positions? So already they have shown 76, probably some more deeper move during the day, about 50 to 60 pips below that of the low quickly and just rise. And unless and otherwise you keep a buy order, we may not be able to get it. Because how they do it, they just keep one order, one order 76.10 and another order 77.10. They press the first order and press the second order quickly. You'll just see that rate is printed in the market, and only if the orders are there, pending orders are there, they will get executed. Otherwise, you may not. And the platforms normally say that the market jumped, so we are not giving you the fill. So at the bottommost level, you may not be able to buy. The platform may not cooperate with you. Then MRC. You think that this is the low for euro? I hope so. Yeah. From here, they are expected to make a lower level consolidation with the downward stop. And around that of 1.4363738, slowly they will gain the levels of the consolidation and make brief downward stop-ins frequently. And then from the last week of September, they are expected to go. And on certain days, they may go up to 1.42 and reverse it very fast. Because in a bearish market, they don't just like that allow the short sellers to make money. So they make one extended upward stop and make a drop again. And so both the long holders as well as the short sellers, or if they hold the position out of greed, they will show the loss. That is the way the market functions. Then A, how do I understand that the downward move end and start to go up? So we have various methods of analyzing it, sir. I just explained it in my trading system. Whenever they hold near that of the low and make more frequent downward stop and no upward stop, and understand that it is a bottom. The levels of consolidations or the ranges of consolidation. Yes, G. Buy position in GBP, wait till late Japanese session. Yeah, you can just buy it. And you may not be able to buy it at the bottommost level. Probably when they just make a downward move, keep an order so that they will give a definite pull. If you try to buy it, they may not. Swing has happened, so slide yet to come. No, swing and slide has already happened. They are expected to firm up. Jack. how can the players buy USD CHF when all traders are also buying? So it is multi-year reversal, sir. People are hesitant to buy, and if you ask many people, it has already gained and it has come to the resistance level, they are willing to sell. And the traders who buy, they don't hold it for a long time because they don't understand how far it will go up. And so most of the occasions, the multi-year reversal moves, many of the traders do not understand, even though they hold the positions with a very good profit. Instead of maximizing the profit, they quickly book profit and turn short and try to do either way trade and lose what they earned. So that is the trick of these one-sided moves the players make in the case of denominator currencies. Then don't expect that drop the market a little to create the negative sentiment. No, not at all, sir. See, after the gain, you just ask yourself, are you willing to buy or are you willing to sell? But always keep in mind, near that of the low set for the day, you can buy. When they make a small dip or when they make a downward stop and below that low, you can buy. In the case of USDCH. Then DDPT, USDSG, Singapore dollars, do you see more rise this month? Yes, I already said it is expected to gain more. Yeah, it could go to 1.30 area. FXM, what could be the base level for buy Euro Australian dollar? Euro Australian dollar, now they are dropping Euro as well as Australian dollar, but Australian dollar is expected to drop further down. So when the denominator becomes weak, what will happen to that of the numerator? It becomes strong. So that particular cross is expected to come down somehow. Then stay up. Could the Euro CHF go below 1.20? I don't think so. Probably intraday they may make a brief downward stop and not much. Can I place buy order at 34.50? So it is your decision keeping a buy at 1.3. See, according to me, any level you can take a buy or any level you can take a sell, provided you have the hedging facility and you are willing to keep the hedging of 30 pips. If you want to partially implement my suggestion of placing an order and not using a stop and not using the hedging and start blaming me, that shows that it is your own decision. Go back to that of the explanations on the expected market moves, swing and slide. They already done it, and small dip or a slide could happen during that of the European session. They may go up to that of the low or just to the psychological level 1.35 and then start firming it up. So when I say slide, don't expect a deep drop or a quick move. It might be a small dip indicating it's going to be the start of the drop, but they should firm up. That is how they are expected to do during the European session. Even though everybody is negative about Euro and the European economy, they may show a surprise. US session dip and firm up moves could be seen when everybody is talking about US dollar is the safe haven. They may say it is not safe haven permanently. So let us review the market as we proceed, and probably this time I don't have time to give the expected market moves for the entire week. On a daily basis, I'll try to give it, and let us analyze how exactly the market is being taken up. So, in the case of Euro, the low was breached. In the case of GBP, the low was breached briefly, and they have come above. And in the case of CHF, they breached the high, and in the case of Yen, they breached the low. So, excepting USD Yen, all other currencies are showing USD gaining more. USD Yen is showing USD weak. Australian dollar, they breached the low and staying below there, and it is expected to continue the downward move slowly. Probably the pullbacks or sell opportunities there. It is expected to come down from that of the multi-year level. And Canadian dollar, you can see that how a close range was set, and they formed a 0.9998 as the high, still not showing parity. So they want to show parity probably when a trigger comes. So till such time they are expected to consolidate here. So I take this opportunity to thank everybody who have come here to listen to my talk and also FX Street for the nice opportunity. And we will review again tomorrow. And during the day, let us observe the market, and also I'll make the comments in the blog and try to understand the players create the market sentiments and act. Thank you one and all.